And we're live at the Gordox Pub for a birthday party. Yay.
Right. Happy birthday, Alison. I said that this is a birthday stream, but everybody's invited.
Yeah.
Now, the
Also,
question is, will she show up?
I brought the plague as my gift. Go ahead and share. Oh.
Ow, that's my knee. And everything up to and including the camera.
Need some tunage.
Huh?
Really? Turn the volume up?
I said I gotta turn my volume up or something. I'm full volume, but I can't hear shit.
You're old.
Well, I hear the music. I just don't hear clearly what you're saying.
That could just be because, I'm quiet like that.
Oh, now I can hear you. Ninja's favorite drink. Water. Heard that joke from a 6-year-old. Now, from an adult, I heard, what's an Asian pronoun? Yeah.
That's terrible.
And that was an Asian adult.
That's terrible.
Like, I heard that joke from an Asian adult. I'm
terrible.
stating that multiple times in the vicinity of that bad joke so that people know that it's not racist because it came from an Asian. So, always early to the party. Is she faster than Willie Reed, you think?
Sure.
Well, hey, we're on time. Of course, we didn't agree to a time. Like, I kept asking her what time would be better, and then with no answer, I'm like, I guess normal time would be the one, right?
Well, I'm hoping she has a better birthday than just watching us. So.
Yeah, oh yeah. Now, YouTube's been putting us in, like, talk shows and podcasts.
Oh.
Like, they're not putting us in art. I have no idea why that is, but it's not right.
Well,
let me see if they did it again real quick while we're waiting on the birthday girl. If you hear an echo, it's because I'm opening the second.
You're in a really big room.
I'm opening a second. Sure as shit, they did it again.
Oh. I was thinking some really mean comments.
They did it again, and that's not supposed to be under that. It's supposed to be under art. It's disgusting. Really. Wow.
What?
Well, I tried to change the tag, and it says there are no live channels tagged art. So I wonder how many people that are artists that are out there trying to be artists aren't getting the art tag. The whole reason for the tag is so that people can find them in the categories that they're looking for.
Yeah, another.
I'm not happy with that.
Huh. Is that because we were talking?
So we're a podcast?
Well, we always talk, and
I know.
we're supposed to be, we're supposed to be listed under art. Yeah, I'm not happy with that. Hey, Jay.
Hold on, Jay.
Jay's been doing some fan server art.
Yeah.
Well, I guess technically Jay's been doing some art and sharing it with us on the fan server. He's not like just specifically doing fan server challenges or whatever. What's happening, Jay? Anyway. This one's a bigger one than I would.
It's what?
This is a bigger tip than I would normally use.
So, I haven't read it yet, but I saw John Delarose had posted something about Neil Gaiman paying a lot of hush money.
Yeah, well, you got to consider the source. Lately, I've discovered John Delarose is full of shit.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh.
He begged Ethan to come on his show, and Ethan went on his show, and he kicked him right off because he had Vox Day on. He booted him and said, "Oh, shut up, you homosexual." So he basically begged Ethan to come on his show so that he could fucking boot him and call him gay.
What an asshat.
He is, the more I see of him, the more that is my opinion.
That does not sound like a cool thing to do to anyone.
No, it isn't. And the whole stupid thing is, it's because Ethan helped a small independent guy from Australia sell his comic, and JDA don't like it. And given the psychotic nature of JDA, we have no idea if it's justified.
I don't get why people get. I don't know the drama between various artists. I just don't get it. It's just. I mean, I don't know. I just really don't. Most of it just seems to me petty and dumb. And I don't see why someone else's success that
takes away from yours. So
I agree. That's like that whole claiming that Ethan was jealous of Eric or whatever. And he's like, he fucking helped Eric grow his channel, helped him find artists, and
yeah.
Like that, does that sound like jealous to me? Or to you?
Yeah.
It doesn't to me. Like if you were jealous of somebody, you're not going to go, hey, here's some good artists that you can. You might try to sabotage them with shitty artists, but that's not what he did. So.
Well, that's just like, you and I share a common opinion about a particular author and writing guru. And
oh, so you're calling him an author?
So I don't mind making fun of him, whatever. But like, I wish him all the success in the world. Like,
well,
I see. It doesn't hurt
where
me.
I am. I wish him success, but I'm not gonna link up his campaign.
Well, yeah, I don't have to help him, but him being successful will not take away from me.
Right. Well, but he steps on people to get successful.
Well,
in my case, he wanted me to give him a glowing recommendation, which I did. Then he wanted for me to rewrite that recommendation to suit what he wanted for it to say, which I did not. And then he kicked me out because I don't like a certain contest. That's the only thing he ever really did in his life.
Right.
And that's kind of subjective. Oh boy. Alison can't wait my Pronger to show up. I ain't promising we're going to stay much longer. If you don't. Well, I guess you can hang out for a little while though anyway.
So that anthology I was telling you about, that it's based on the token payment with
right.
The shared universe thing. So the guy liked he liked my idea enough. He's like, yeah, that sounds like no one's doing that. Go ahead if you want to do it. There's like he's bookending the stories in the anthology, and so like there's, if you like you can go to his authors page kind of, and if you look long enough, you can get access to another page where he like kind of gives you the twist that's going to be in the shared universe. And that's a cool thing. I thought it was kind of nice that he I don't know, like it's an interesting idea, but the hard part I would think for writers would be you kind of have to know about the twist, but you can't reveal the twist. So, like it's one of those things where you kind of have to really think about what like character POV, because you know your character doesn't know what you know as an author, and you have to craft a story that interacts with the world beyond the understanding of the characters you're going to use. And yeah, I think that's kind of a trip.
Yep. I would say that's a trick.
I know you're thinking it's $25. Why bother?
I'm thinking that's a lot of work for $25.
Yeah.
If he likes the story well enough to publish it. Not just the concept, but the actual story. Because he can deny it right up until, so.
Oh, I know. I wouldn't worry about it. It is not my priority right now. I'm like, well, if I'm bored one night and I get like I got the concept, if I got it easily enough. But even then, I was like, yeah, it's good enough. The concept that I have would work with his shared universe or not.
So it's one of those things where it's like, if he doesn't like it, I might be able to find a home for it elsewhere.
Right? Like, as far as plot-wise goes,
yeah,
you can tweak the details if you need to.
Yeah. So, you know how Marvel's doing the whole multiverse thing, and DC kind of does it too, and this whole multiversal type thing seems to be kind of popular enough that it's not popular anymore. Does that make sense?
Well, because it's an excuse to not have anything be truly canon.
Hi, Elon.
He's going outside to call his cousin Renee.
Okay.
He's
But,
like, I'm going outside, Brett, to call Renee, Brett.
Okay. I had an idea for a story, and if I do it, it's dependent on the idea of having a multiverse, and I'm like, I don't know. It's one of those things where I'm not sure I'd want to. I don't want to follow a trend. I just had an idea that's just kind of one of those. I don't think it could work. In fact, I know it can't work. It really is. Yeah. It would be required to have a multiverse.
That's showing up well on there.
Looks like the turtle. What part of my is it? I don't understand.
I'm using white
Well, I get that.
because that's showing up well on there.
Well, I mean, it looks white to me. I don't.
Can you see what I'm doing with the white?
No, because by the time you paint it, your big fat hand was in the way, so I can't see what it was.
Well, I pull my hand away.
I get that, but anyway. Yeah, see, like that one I could see.
So the other ones you can't see?
No, I can see, but I
I'm asking if you can see it, that's all.
yes, I can see
I want
it.
to know if you can read it. Not whether you can see when I'm painting with my hand in the way, because I obviously know you can't. I just want to know if you can see the results of what I'm doing.
Well, yeah, but it was one of those things where, because there's white already there, and I didn't exactly see, I couldn't see what you were doing because your hand was in the way. I wasn't sure if I was seeing what I was seeing or if that was already there. So I needed to see it being done so I knew that I was seeing what you were doing. If that makes sense. That's what cold pills and pain meds will get you.
I am trying to do in negative what I did with the blacks.
Yeah.
Kind of. Excuse me.
Wow. You know, I see this thing that Chuck Dixon posted, and it's a picture of Namor, or I guess Namor, punching Aquaman, and I get the history of it all, but I always thought Namor was way cooler than Aquaman, just because, like, I don't know, he was edgier. He
was also first.
Well, okay, but he's just
well, that's
edgier.
the point of that picture.
I know.
Chuck Dixon really doesn't like Aquaman.
I get that part. I get all that. But besides that, I just think I'm not super thrilled with the Namor, but the comics of Namor were. I always kind of thought he was a cooler character, darker.
Well, he definitely is.
Yeah.
Aquaman was a copy. And, like, that's one of the things that Chuck Dixon was talking about, is that the only reason that he's more well known is because he was on the Super Friends, which was on TV cartoons, but Namor had been around first. It's just like Lobo. Lobo is really popular, but Lobo wasn't a copy of Wolverine, because those. If you look back and forth, that's what happened between Marvel and DC. Every time Marvel has a successful character, DC has to imitate it, and vice versa.
Yeah.
It's kind of like movies.
Somewhat.
So I'll state my case with that. Every time a movie comes out, like say Jurassic Park or I don't know, District 9, any of them like that,
Right.
There's about 30 knockoffs in the fucking video store before you get there.
Yeah, but that's a fine line. I mean, think about
Fine.
yeah, because I mean,
Knockoff.
okay, but here's how
Here's what I'm thinking about.
So, you know the stories that you and I have written with God damn it,
The Moravians. God, I couldn't think of the guy's name. I was like, the Island of Animal People. No. Island of Doctor something. Anyway, so we kind of cobbled together a universe that was derivative of other people's works.
But that was the challenge.
I agree, but I'm
So
saying
that wasn't like, oh, I'm claiming this is my original whatever. It was, the challenge was to take movie monsters and incorporate them with crime stories. So,
well, I just
like, that's not doing a knockoff. None of the stories that we wrote are in existence or really even close to existence. Even the Moravians in my story have really very little to do with actual Island of Dr. Moreau.
Well, I get that, and but still, it's one of those things where you would have people say to me, it wasn't that it was a knockoff of Dr. Moreau. It was, to some extent, I thought, derivative of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, because we're taking different famous stories and kind of using elements of them to make a different fictional universe. And they're not the same, but I just think that you would have people who would just say, oh, it's a knockoff this. And, you know, and I'm not saying that we tried to knock off it or we were trying to rip off anyone, but I'm saying that I think you can see that there are some similarities in some of the aspects of it, and that's okay. Like,
I don't think it's the same thing you're talking about. But,
well,
okay.
I just think that there's a spectrum, I think, and what's a knockoff versus what's inspired by.
Well, a knockoff is a cheap copy of, and what's inspired by expands on it.
Okay.
Right?
And again, I'm just saying that I think we looked at something that another artist did, and we saw the technique and said, oh, let's try that technique.
Who did that?
Well, I'm just saying, by taking elements of stories, of famous fictional stories, genre stories, and using that to build.
Been done since ancient Greece.
Okay.
It is tradition, really. I don't think that's a knockoff. I don't think it's a copy, especially if you're expanding on it. My story has Moravians in it, but it's not about the island of Dr. Moreau or the Moravians. The Moravian is one in a whole bunch of different things.
Right.
Sometimes that works. You're building a cake. You know, everybody's made eggs, but eggs aren't a cake. So they're edible. They're a meal, or you can eat them. You can even make a treat out of them. But they're not the same as a cake. And the same thing with the other elements of cake. I mean,
Jay, we can't afford to play Man in the Box in the background.
yeah, right? I always have thought, this, I don't know if this is loud enough for you to clearly hear anyway, but, well, I don't know, because every time I think that the volume is set to a certain way, it ends up not being set to a certain way. It's just what I hear. Lesser or more. Cool thing about using pasta is that I can put a marker over it and it will react like the original.
Did you ever see
Maybe.
a character called the Scourge in Marvel Comics?
It sounds familiar.
There was.
I don't know if it's Marvel. Like, yeah.
I think it was.
It sounds. Isn't it like Rob Liefeld in Mutants?
No, it started in. Like, I'm looking at part of it. It says, because I'm looking it up. I'm not an expert on this. But first appearance is in 1985 in Iron Man. But
1985. What?
in Iron Man.
Oh, in Iron Man.
Yeah. But
But
There-
yeah, okay.
there was a series of Marvel comics. It was like the Dead and Deceased or something, and it was just like character profiles of dead characters, and I loved them because this is like the late '80s, early '90s. Comics had been around for a lot longer than me, and it was, and back then it was hard to get access to any of that information without seriously working at it. So these books help fill in gaps. It was like kind of like Wikipedia long before there was Wikipedia. It was only about the dead characters, but you got different stories. And so there was one, the Scourge, and I swear to God, I was reading it and I was like, this is just the guy they used to kill off characters. Like, they literally, like, just time after time. Oh, at this bar where all these criminals keep going to, the Scourge would show up and shoot some of them. And then no one ever knew what it was, and I guess it got folded into part of the Punisher or something. But that's why it
Might be where I've seen them.
always liked the idea that you just have a character that's there to kill off other characters. Just, I'm sorry, Iron Manifesto, you've run your course. It's time to end you. That way you don't have 350,000 characters all running around that you're supposed to keep track of. That's actually kind of a neat idea. Well, Rich, I may have had another idea. I may have to write this book.
That would be interesting.
Scourge of the Underworld.
Yeah.
Yeah, not just Scourge. There's just Scourge too.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Denny O'Neil. He did a lot of Batman stuff. Chuck Dixon worked with him.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, Dennis O'Neil, but he went by Denny O'Neil. I guess to his friend. Or goes by. I don't know. I don't know if he's still alive or dead.
I always thought the character was interesting. Just the concept, not necessarily. I mean, I don't know. It was just the way that he was clearly there to just clean a few things up. Or, if you had a version of a villain that you wanted, just wasn't working, but you still liked the concept, you just needed to tweak it, you could kill that original villain, and that way the new one, could rise up and take the mantle. Because I think you can, I think villains can pass the mantle a little bit easier than superheroes can. Don't quote me on that. I haven't tested it yet, but I'm just thinking that when you pass the mantle as the superhero for some reason, it generally pisses everybody off. But there have been lots of different versions of different villains. And
that's that I think pretty much it pisses everyone off because nobody does it well. Nobody chooses somebody that's just as interesting as the original. Because if they've got a following, they've been interesting. Once they're not interesting, nobody cares. It's like killing off Jason Todd, right?
Yeah.
Like nobody cared until everybody killed Jason Todd off. That's why they ended up bringing him back. But everybody hated Jason Todd while he was Robin.
Ugh.
But then, when, he was killed, fans are very fickle. It's really weird because you see that in bands too. Because when you like that whole period of South right?
Yeah.
Where the fans were fucking pissed that Metallica would do mainstream. But Metallica swore they wouldn't do mainstream, and that's one thing. However, they expected them to just stay the same. And then if they stay the same, then people were like, oh, it's just the same old shit.
Yeah.
Not to mention, when you're a band, you want to do new things. Well, that doesn't strictly just stick with when you're a band, but it's in defense of Metallica, and I'm one of the South crowd. So there is that, right? I guess what I'm trying to say is that I can see both sides of it, but you can't expect a character to grow for the same character, the character to be the same for 60 years, because now Spider-Man's not a, not a teenager with problems with Aunt May, because Aunt May would be like 150 years old.
Right.
So now he has to be an adult, and you have to explore the adult. And then if he's been in the comics for 60 years, you can allow that, maybe a run of a year or two happened in less time than it takes for 12 months, Right. But in reality, he's still going to have to age. And then what? So I think the biggest problem is people pay fan service. They do it on shaky ground when they pass the mantle on. They don't pass the mantle on to an interesting character that has similar qualities. They either pass the mantle on to a girl version, or they pass the mantle on to like somebody that's completely opposite of what Peter Parker or like the Punisher or Batman. Batman choosing Azrael, that was just made for a twist. There's nothing about Azrael that makes him a responsible superhero or a responsible hero. He's a sociopath. And that showed it when he was Batman. That's why Robin got pissed and left, right? Tim Drake should have been the next one, or whoever. Dick Grayson should probably have been the next Batman, because that seemed like he was. This is gonna sound terrible, but it seems like that's what he was grooming him for. You know, the whole time he was preparing to train someone to replace him when the time came that he's too old, too fragile, or whatever. And Dick had growing pains, right? Which is also doesn't sound good, but like he had to learn that, you know, there's limitations and you can't just run around and get revenge. And so I guess that's really what I'm talking about, is that if someone's grooming someone to be the next version of them, then that's who you expect to see the next version of them. And if you know that there are major differences that you're just not gonna, you know, train out of them or whatever, then that's kind of what you're gonna expect to see from the next, you know, Batman or whatever. I always thought Batman would have been cool because he's rich and he's choosing orphans and stuff, that he would have his own like Bat army. I mean, I guess there's the Bat family now, but that's not what I was thinking. Like, I was thinking he could find people that were similar, you know?
Yeah.
Like, because I could very easily imagine the Punisher as Batman. And that would be a war vet that came home to some pretty awful shit, right?
Yeah.
So, if he had the resources Batman did, he, you know, didn't have to be hired by mob guys to kill mob guys and then come back and kill those mob guys so that he could have money to go on this endless circuit for a while. If he was more interested or more focused towards challenges that were greater than him, with, you know, like with the availability of the bat suit, with the availability of all the gadgets and the funding and the multiple vehicles, you know, bat shark repellent and stuff like that. So you pretty much had everything you needed, right?
I think so.
What kind of Punisher would that make, or what kind of Batman would the Punisher make? So, and it's not just the Punisher, but if you did that, then people would have a kind of interesting character that they could latch onto that's not Batman. And obviously, I'm not saying that it would need to be the Punisher. I'm just using it as an example. Wow, everything got quiet. Did the bomb go off or something?
What?
I said everything got quiet. Did a bomb go off or something?
No. It wasn't even quiet for that long. You were talking.
Yeah, I was talking, but I got quiet and it was me talking. You ever see?
What?
Did you ever see that Alfred Hitchcock interview where he's talking about the difference between suspense and surprise?
I believe so. I mean, I've seen a video of him talking about that.
In the 1960s, black and white
I
video.
think it was part of John Brown's course.
Did he? I know he mentioned. Alfred Hitchcock. I just didn't know if you've seen that one. I've seen some other stuff on him too. He said, if you really want to know how to everything to write about suspense or thriller or something like that, to read the 39 Steps.
Okay.
I read the 39 Steps. And I don't think I know everything that there is to know about suspense. What I think, or thrillers, what I think is that a lot of that novel is it's like a lot of it's just the main character. I think Richard Hannity running, and from what I can tell, there's no necessity for him to start running. Now, once he is running, he can't stop because then he draws suspicion to himself for a bunch of things. But before he runs, I think he has a way that he would be able to avoid people thinking that he did the dastardly deed that he's supposed to have done. It turns out he's no Shakespeare. Hitchcock directed a version of the 39 Steps. I've read the book. I didn't know that there was a movie version. So. Yeah, it makes me curious.
Okay. Well, that's like, yeah. The YouTube algorithm gods have been putting up clips of the Lincoln Lawyer, Matthew McConaughey. And I started noticing some aspects of it that I was like, that's kind of an interesting character thing. So,
have you read the book?
No, never read the book, and I don't know if that. Well, I don't know if that's what I'm going for. Huh?
I was just saying, there's a series.
Yeah, I noticed that when I went to look for the movie. I was like, no, just. But, and maybe after I watch the movie, I'll want to watch the series. I don't know, but. Yeah, it's just one of those.
No, not a book series.
Oh well, I'm saying there's a
series
movie
of novels about that lawyer.
there's a TV series over it. Looking kind of shady.
Well, it should be shadowy, so I guess I gotta darken it up a little bit. But at least it's not slim. So I left that open for somebody else to do, so I didn't have to.
Yeah. Anyway. Hey, I don't think our birthday girl's going to show.
I think she's gonna show. I just don't know what time she's gonna show.
Okay, well. That's cool and all. But I'm like almost an hour in, and Jay was here. Jay might still be here.
Right? Yeah.
Actually, what's kind of weird is
Michael Connelly's novel. Didn't he do Bosch?
What?
It's a Michael Connelly novel. I'm pretty sure he did Bosch.
Oh, okay.
Yep, he did Bosch. I like the Bosch show. I haven't read any book. I wasn't really all that interested in watching Lincoln Lawyer, so I caught the end of it. Like, I guess it was either cinema. He's also got that show that I was talking about. It's a kids show, a young adult show type.
Yeah.
So I was asking you if you've watched it before. I want to say like wrote it with one of his kids or his wife or something.
Did you ever see the 80s show? I think it was called I think it might have just been called Travelers. I had a guy
You've asked me that before.
What?
I said I think you've asked me that before.
Well, did you ever see it?
I'm not sure.
Well, it seems to me that kind of time travel thing also kind of requires a multiversal thing. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's what you brought it up originally.
Well, I don't want to hop on a trend because that just doesn't sound like a recipe for success. But at the same time, I'm just thinking I have an idea. That's all. So. Oh.
Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm wrong.
Hey, are you gonna sign that in the shadow with white?
It's possible.
Okay.
Should I sign it in the shadow and white?
Well, I think so. Just because a lot of times you would, sign in black or whatever, but
Well, yeah, you don't sign black on black, but
obviously.
Also, your eyes gone to the point of highest contrast, so I don't want to make it too blatant. And actually, hold on a minute. I'm looking for something specific real quick, and it's not being real quick. Wow. You ever notice when you try to look for something quick, never
It's never quick. Yeah. Yeah, normally I have a room full of, teenagers watching me while I'm looking for something real quick.
right.
No pressure. No pressure. Yeah, I would say about the closest thing I ever get to a nightmare anymore is a kind of dream where, normally I'm trying to find my lesson plan right before class is supposed to start. Should be something, oh yeah, it's right here.
Shelter.
Shelter.
It's Harlan Coben. It's a different mystery writer. Or a different thriller writer. Yeah, Shelter by Harlan Coben. It's kind of three kids in school, Nancy Drew and the Hardy Boys type, but there's like spy thriller undertone to the story.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
By the way, I just looked it up. The show was called Voyagers.
Okay.
Voyagers.
Yeah, I wouldn't know from that anyway. So you basically still have to show me.
Yeah, there are a couple genre shows from my youth that didn't last very long that somehow made a pretty lasting impression.
Right.
Voyagers.
I have the same thing with like the Misfits of Science and
that was another one. Yeah.
Sliders. I love Sliders.
Sliders was a little bit later. I kind of
Yeah,
like the
I
concept.
still loved it anyway.
Well, I mean, it just was. It's a neat concept. And again, multiversal.
Right?
And
But I thought they did it right until they switched main leading characters.
until they started just ripping off other people's IP.
Right. That's when they started switching main characters.
Right. Because,
Because the regular characters didn't want nothing to do with that shit anymore.
hey, it's Alison. It's his birthday.
It's Alison. All right, hold on.
Uh-oh. What am I holding on to?
Well, anything you want to keep safe. In honor of Alison.
What? What are you doing? Uh-oh. Ugh. That was majestic.
And well done, right?
Yeah.
Well, we wanted a Saturday off anyway.
No problem, Allison. Oh, Rich put on the wrong screen.
Huh?
You had the wrong screen.
I had the wrong screen.
Yeah, the proportions were off.
Oh, I don't know. This isn't that important.
Neither is my fat, shiny head, but, you know.
Oh, there's at least 4 people that would beg to differ. And probably what? A dog and a cat at least, maybe 2.
Probably. Fat dog was barely. I don't know what her problem was today, but she came up and I spent the day pretty much in bed, and the dog came up and laid on the far corner and refused to get any closer. And I was like, what the hell, dog?
Haven't you been preaching that you're sick?
Yeah, but it's not going to be transferable to
like,
the dog.
No, fuck that. I don't want to catch that trick.
Well, no, then my wife comes home and the dog snuggles right up to me. I was like, what the? Okay.
That's
Sure.
weird.
So, whatever. The dog can be the dog. Ugh.
Hmm.
So, I don't know how much you cook, but my parents both cooked, and I cooked quite a bit. But I mean, I watched my parents, and I wouldn't say I'm a chef or anything or anything like that, but just certain ways of doing things. And I was watching this reel or a short or something. And the guy was basically making hamburgers with onion gravy on mashed potatoes. Nothing drastically difficult or innovative, but he did something that I just I didn't really understand, and I see people doing it a lot, and I just don't get. I don't know. It's not the way I was raised, I guess, but the guy he cooked the hamburger patties that he made, and then he took the hamburger patties out and threw a bunch of chopped onion in the grease, um, and used that to make gravy. And he's like, "Oh yeah, the hamburger grease will help flavor the onions." And I'm like, if you had just thrown the onions in to begin with, A, they'd brown faster. B, they'd flavor the hamburger patties. I don't understand why. I don't know. If you're going to add onion to something, that's like one of the first things I want to add in there. Like, throw it in, flavor everything. I don't know. I'm just weird that way, I guess. Also, I watch way too much food porn. It's a habit I got into in college. It's an addiction. I see a therapist for it. The boys make fun of me because I guess in one of the South Park episodes, Randy is like seriously addicted to food porn.
There's a guy who does these shorts that does some. He watches these YouTube, not YouTube, TikTok,
Yeah.
like quick cheats for cooking,
Yeah.
and then he tries them out. Like him and his old lady try them out.
Yeah.
I like to watch his channel because if they find some interesting things, you know about it pretty quick.
Huh.
But yeah, like they were talking about making, I want to say making pancakes on the air fryer.
Huh.
It was really cool. There was a couple of different tricks that they had. I never remember them. I never very seldom write them down. But like if they find Chick-fil-A sauce or something like that,
Yeah.
which they do, recipes for that, and they're always putting some kind of test to it. I'll send you a link to the shorts when I see one next. And if you follow their channel, there's a whole bunch of cool stuff. If you like that sort of thing, if you like that food porn sort of thing.
I do normally. No one else in my family cares. I'm just like, shut up. This is good stuff. Like occasionally you learn something that's like, you know, like good.
Feels like the whole world's against me trying to do this.
To do what?
This stupid picture for you.
No, okay.
Like every time I get something lined up, I'll make a line and it'll either the ruler will slip or it's kind of ridiculous. It's kind of funny on one end, but kind of ridiculous on the other. The ruler will slip. I just hit the camera. The ruler will lift up off the paper, apparently.
Nice.
And give me a nice, clean double line.
Oh,
I was going to use the white to fix all that, but anyway. Apparently the Pascal White doesn't want to work right either.
okay.
That's why I'm using this white gel pen, which by the way looks great on there, but not so much here.
Okay.
I'm amused and appalled at the same time. It's like watching The Elephant Man as a stand-up comedian.
Have I ever explained to you my hatred of the walking taco?
I don't even know what the walking taco is.
Oh my goodness.
How do you not know what a walking taco is? Well, first off,
Well,
You're better off
I have
for
an
not.
idea of what a walking taco is, but I'm gonna guess that it's not what you're hating on.
no, it's not. Oh my God. So this abomination is basically you take a bag of chips, and traditionally it would have been like Frito chips, like corn chips. But I mean, I just saw a picture where they were using Doritos and like whatever. And you basically
Well, that's
you cut
corn chips.
right, but not the same thing. But anyway, you basically open the bag or you snip off the top, however you want to do it, and you dump your taco fixings in.
Well,
Then you
that's
have to
pretty
eat
good.
it with a fork. So it's basically a taco salad in a bag.
I was going to
And
say, I make taco salad, but I don't think I'd ever put it in a bag.
and yeah, I just the problem the thing that just really irks me about these things is that they sell them like those are a fair food, and so they're selling them because look, you can walk around with your taco, and I'm like, you already could with a taco, and you didn't need a fork. Just really?
I like soft tacos.
I'm just saying, it's one of those things where it's like, this is not a good representation of humanity. So,
I do not approve.
yeah, I really don't. When
I get that. Like, there's things out there that I see that I'm like, this is an abomination. This does not have to be made. There's a lot of fucking uh, stuff that's flavored now, like ice cream that's flavored like peanut butter and jelly, or cereal that's got they're flavored like all kinds of crazy candy. But no wonder we've got a weight problem in the U.S.
I doubt any of those cereals taste as good as Nintendo cereal did.
Yeah, but they don't need to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you don't need peanut butter. I don't know, peanut butter candy corn, friggin' yogurt, drumsticks with nuts cereal.
Yeah, I've seen that.
There's a lot of ridiculous shit that's out there that I'm looking at and I'm going, this is what's killing us. This is what's killing us, really.
Oh well.
So I erased those few lines, colored black over them, because they were going to the wrong place. They were going to a destination, believe it or not, that was antithetical to all the other destinations. He was not the same, not belong there. So what I did was I've used this corner where the bicep meets that part of the forearm as the vanishing point all the way around, except for these 5 lines. For some reason, when I got into these 5 lines, I used this part. So now I'm going to fix it. And hopefully, you won't look as stupid. These gel pens are supposed to be really great, and I've never seen them work like everybody talks like they will.
I remember when, they like I had an art professor who was getting it, who like was introducing a lot of us to gel pens, and I don't know why this guy was just enamored with them, but I hadn't actually seen anything like it at the time, so it was new to me. That was back in the 90s. I don't know how old gel pens really are.
At least not.
I seem to remember being in high school and them blowing up in people's pockets.
I don't know, man.
Like really, and that was like they didn't accept things in certain schools, and certain teachers would refuse to accept things written in gel pens. And I don't know, it's not my deal, but they had something to the dynamics, nothing to the logistics.
I just looked up the history of gel pens because, you can.
Yeah, that doesn't mean that you're going to find the truth, though.
By the way, Jay said that we have new and innovative ways to raise our cholesterol. It says the first gel pen to be released commercially was the Ball Sign 280 in Japan.
Was the what?
The Ball Sign 280.
That's what I thought you said.
And,
No.
Their first.
Because inevitably, if you sign someone's balls, they're going to ask to have that signature tattoo. Somebody.
Yeah. But it says their first product became available in America in the late 1980s was the Jelly Roll. And following this, Crayola began producing pens with thicker bodies, marketing them to children. So, what I like in this article is that gel ink resists an analytical method commonly used to assess the potential age of ink for forensic purposes. That's kind of cool. So there was a woman who taught next door to me who, God, she loved gel pens. Just loved them. When she left, her desk was full of them. I was like, all right, cool. Ow, that was awesome.
This is what happens when I get bored and needle.
When I start saying random things like, why do the turtles have masks? Would the masks do anything but hide their identity?
What?
Well, it's just normally when you wear a mask, it's to hide your identity, not to give you an identity. And that's kind of how the masks are used in modern Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, kind of like Slipknot.
Yeah.
Or Insane Clown Posse, or
Kiss.
yeah. That was to make them distinct.
Yep.
I didn't say it was new. I was just giving examples. I guess I was giving examples that I thought were more modern. But Kiss, it's like a bad STD. It's just no cure. Never goes away. Now, before people start saying that means you don't like Kiss, no, not much. But there are some songs. They are kind of like Motley Crue in the fact that most of their lyrics are vapid. So,
Yeah.
and I hate that I agree with Pearl Jam's lead singer when he said that, but he's right. They're something you can sing on heroin. You're too fucked up to stand up.
Yeah.
And Kiss at least has an excuse. And then Paul Stanley said that his intent of creating the arena sound and all that was to he wanted to reproduce what was happening with Motown, where they would sing something and then the audience would sing back.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's a good excuse to keep it simple, right?
Well,
I
worked
kind
for
of
Queen.
agree with that at one point, but it's they're not great lyrics. I mean, very few of them are really good lyrics. There
Right.
is some, but just few.
I saw a meme on Facebook where it was it's like this anime sorceress wizard chick, and she's like, "Oh, I'm all out of mana." So she pulls out her gun and goes, "I'll switch to American magic," which I chuckled at. But that got me thinking that would be kind of an interesting quote magic system where you had different like countries based off of different magics.
Or the other way around.
Or yeah, well, I mean that's what. So
Have
yeah,
you,
your magic is based off of your country, but I mean that I see that as being
have you seen Carnival
almost
Row
chicken
yet?
and egg. What?
Have you seen Carnival Row yet?
No.
Why
Why?
haven't you seen Carnival Row yet?
I think I started to watch it. And I was like, eh.
Oh shit! The first 5 minutes sold me on it. I was putting up with a lot of the rest of it. World War I with werewolves and fairies can't fly up very high because they've got fucking barbed wire netting across the trees and shit. Yeah, that was fucking pretty cool.
I don't know. Yeah, because I remember that, and I just was. I don't know.
That's the very beginning. I'm like,
right,
yeah.
and I don't. I just. I don't think it really. I don't know. Maybe I should try it again. I don't know. I did not connect with it.
I wasn't really a fan of the second season. But I liked the first one.
Well,
And I think they made a mistake because it was during COVID and nobody was going to accept.
I don't know. It was something where, like, I remember watching. Like I said, I saw the part with the because there's like a boat trip or something, and they kind of use them.
Yeah, right after that, because that's what
Yeah.
they're trying to do is the fairies are trying to escape.
Right, and
And they're trying to escape to basically a pseudo England, but they get put in basically racial slums and
yeah, and part of me was like, this is something that should interest me. Like on paper, this should be something I want to watch. And I was watching it, and I was just like, yeah, I just don't care.
I like the way that the first season concluded. So
Uh,
there is a murder mystery that pops up in there too. So
if
and
I
then
remember,
there's thief adventure shit going on. It's like pretty much everything.
yeah, I just think it was the whole the quote poor working class type stuff that was, I think, kind of, I don't know. I didn't like the classism that I think I saw in it, and it just didn't seem. It seemed like I was just, another show telling me how evil capitalism is, and I just kind of gave up on it.
It's funny. I can get past that shit a lot easier in that show than the shit that I can't get past in Star Wars that you can get past.
Well, okay. Except for, I mean, again,
I just said it was funny. I didn't say right or wrong or whatever, but
well, I mean, there's still stuff in Star Wars.
I think you missed a lot of cool stuff that would have generated cool ideas if you like. It's so easy to blow by some of that shit with the working class thing, and it's basically making they took our jobs and whatever be evil. That's not new, right?
Right, and it's also what I was writing at the time. I was worried about it a little bit too. I was like, I don't want to get in. I don't know. It's one of those things. And then it's like, oh, it's a whole season, and then you devote your time to it.
Well, the whole season is 10 episodes there.
Right.
I liked it overall, really. I mean, there are things that I would take out of it if I was writing it.
Yeah.
But those things are just so easy to overlook with all the other cool shit. And it's the other cool shit that makes me think, oh, that could be expanded upon. That could be, you know what I mean? Like, that's what makes those kinds of shows cool. There's an originality there. But the whole class system thing, that's no different than the London poor and the London labor and the London poor, which is where steampunk came from, because all like James Blaylock, Tim Powers, all those guys, that's what they were getting their information from, is that book. And they were like, there's so much stuff in there that like they're telling people where their resources is, because there's too much to even write about. So there's so many ideas that there's plenty to share and plenty to go around. But it really feels like watching that show that's the same thing. It's a lot of that, and there's some multiracial things in it.
Yeah.
But they're literally different races. So that makes them a little bit different, whether they want to think about it that way or not. I know that they're trying to illustrate something else, but somebody has a ram horns on their head. Yeah, but really not a man. Doesn't matter what color his skin is. He's just not a man.
That's what she said.
to the house. Anyway, I think if you make it through, then you'll find a lot in there that you can manipulate. And you would maybe manipulate. There's like the whole thief crew and all that you didn't get to experience, and I know damn well that would get your mind whirling.
Oh,
And there are other aspects as well, so.
is that? No. Oh yeah.
What?
Well, there were a couple series that kind of came out kind of close together, and so none of them I really followed. Like I would watch part of them and lose interest, but they kind of all got jumbled in my head because you were saying the thief thing. Then I was thinking of a thief thing, but I think that's a different thief thing from a different series. So, clear as mud. You just got to be telepathic and clairvoyant and all that good stuff. You'll be able to understand what I'm saying.
You're sick. These are times that you might watch part of this kind of shit.
Oh.
I liked it. I was. It's one of those things where I liked it and I hated stuff about it, but I liked it overall. And I wouldn't let the stuff I hated about it stop me from liking it.
Yeah.
Which that in itself is a rarity. On full disclosure. Like, Star Wars burned me enough that I don't ever want to watch another Star Wars movie.
Well,
And they're telling me all kinds of cool stuff's going to come out, and I just don't care. Because all that I've seen, they ruined all that I loved originally, and why would I want to watch more of that?
yeah. There have been parts that I have enjoyed, and there have been parts that I have not enjoyed.
Right?
And, some of it is just, and I don't know if it's a higher bar or a lower bar. Because on one hand, I get the whole member berries thing. I understand that. And some of that is pleasing, no matter what happens. This ought to be cool. But at the same time, that's a dangerous ingredient, because if you do something that doesn't line up with what people are already kind of expecting, for whatever reason. Now, sometimes the audience has a good reason to expect it because it's canon. I get it. But other times, like, I don't know. I mean, when I get upset that you never get to see Darth Vader really hunting down Jedi, and so I'm pissed off with the prequels because you never really get to see Darth Vader hunting down Jedi, and
So I watched something on that it doesn't say he's hunting down Jedi. It said he helps hunt down the Jedi.
well,
And him showing up at the Jedi capital and killing kids, or hunting down Obi-Wan or whatever.
the fact that it happens in 20 minutes, and it's just
So it's not satisfying, but they're saying we technically covered it. So
right, and so technically, there's really no reason for me to get pissy about it because it followed canon, sort of. But
Yeah, I don't agree, but whatever, you know. I mean, like, I don't agree with them that being hunting down the Jedi.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's killing Padawans, which they established are not Jedi yet. So,
Yeah. Well, there's
like,
also
who did he kill? He killed Ben Kenobi much, much later.
they.
Did he kill any other Jedi? Like
Yeah.
Jedi?
I think, yeah, because there are a few holdouts that they, like in the comics and stuff, they talk about.
But they're not canon.
Well, I think technically these are in the new ones, and those are canon. But it's still, I mean, it's just.
I thought they were
Me,
all
it's-
legends. There was no
it's-
canon, everything was legend.
Well, up till when Disney purchased it, but Disney said what they make is canon. So,
Well, that's who said that it was legends. That's why I asked.
well, well, anyway, so to me,
I don't
the thing
follow
with
it
Darth,
at all anymore. It's just once you've been wrong, you know.
it upsets me they have a great character and they wasted it, and that's, I guess, my biggest gripe. It's like they just wussed out on really giving us what they could have given us, I guess. But in a way, that's what Orson Scott Card was talking about, where he can't teach you how to write your story. He can only teach you how to write the story he'd write. And so, maybe the Star Wars story, I'm upset because they didn't write the story I would have written. But, I'm not the one that came up with Star Wars, so it's
Yeah,
not
but
my
he didn't
story
write
to
that
write.
shit either.
What?
I said he didn't write that shit either.
A lot of it, yeah. But, whatever. I just wish there's no other IP, I guess, that hits the same nerves as Star Wars can for me. And I'm not saying that everything that they produced hits the way it should, but I haven't seen anything else that has the same grip. I don't know. Like there's some world building which if you really want to get Lucas was really good at world building, and I haven't seen anyone else do it as well as he did. I don't know. Like it's one of those things where it's think of any other franchise, like sci-fi franchise or fantasy franchise, and Peter Jackson did an amazing job bringing Tolkien to life, but it was I never liked the Lord of the Rings books as much, and I would say those are the closest thing anyone's ever gotten to the feel Star Wars has, and I don't feel like they can really continue that, whereas you could have continued Star Wars. So I don't know. Like I would love to have intellectual property that was as vivid as Star Wars can be. To enjoy it and to
Oh, we're working on it.
we try, yeah, but it's
I don't know about you. I'm not trying. I'm working on it.
yeah. Harry Potter series.
That's why I got the shit. Yeah, that's why I got the storyboard book,
Yeah.
Because the storyboards, they didn't start off the way that Star Wars looks in the end,
Right.
but they started off giving them an idea to work from, so you can go over and over and over and over that idea. It's like Mastiff is not the same as I originally drew him. I have 2 different drawings, and each one is different. And then the third one that I did in the comic, that's even more different. So, like, it's possible, especially if you Lucas. It wasn't just Lucas. Lucas hired a huge team. Yeah. Lawrence Kasdan writing. He had a huge amount of artists working on it that were artists, and then they had sculptors, and the sculptors weren't always sculptors as in what you think about sculpting, but they would be the same thing today as someone who designed like maybe Lego portrait stuff. They're working with they're working with design. Some of those guys, that was the point. They got into designing, and they did storyboards and stuff for the design. So they're drawing the land speeders, but they have crude versions of what they're supposed to be before they actually come up with land speeders and the snow speeders. And the snow speeders were the originally like a recycling of the Y-Wings cockpit. So I guess what I'm saying is, like, if you have enough creative people, all you have to do is have one brilliant or one smart or one very clever person that can collate all that stuff, right? And then you go through and get rid of what you don't need there, and focus on what the important parts of the story are. And the whole time that you're doing that, you're seeing different camera angles and what would look better from a different camera angle. The TIE 5 pilots changed several times. The Emperor's Guard changed a few times. Darth Vader changed a few times. He had a different helmet for when he was or wasn't in the TIE Fighter. So, I mean, there's a lot of possibilities there, you know.
Yeah.
So when you say I wish I owned the IP, that no, don't wish, do. We have an opportunity right now to build an IP, which is what we've been doing, right?
Well, yeah, I agree.
So who's to say how limited the scope of that IP is? And we've talked about it before, like, we're writing one graphic novel, right? But we're leaving it open to write more adventures of that one character. So it's not like it's the end or something. It's just we can expand on it and create more or whatever. That's what Hellboy did, or Mike Mignola, not Hellboy, Mike Mignola, who created Hellboy. So we're not consigned to just that one small graphic novel or a small part of the graphic novel, or small graphic novel in a small part of the world that we're building. The world that we're building, we can't possibly explore in 60 pages going with the plot. We can't. There's not enough. There's not enough pages.
Jay said that he never knew that about the snow speeders. but he always thought they looked like spaceships.
Well, the snow speeders that you see in the movie are not what the original plan was for them. What they were talking about when they were doing the snow speeders was that the Rebel Alliance was poor and they would be recycling parts of ships instead of just having new ships for everything, which makes sense if you think about it. They didn't really do that in the movies, but it does make sense if you think about it. Like, that's one of the things that I didn't like about Star Wars, and I guess it makes more sense now than it did then, but when they first did the prequels and everything was shiny, like everything was shiny, nothing was green. And the Star Wars that I'd watched and fallen in love with was a bunch of kids getting dirty and playing in the sandbox, right? So everything was dirt and grit and beat up and had been laser blasted or dented or whatever. Nothing was clean, nothing was new, nothing was shiny, nothing. Except for the floor when the Emperor walked on it. The floor of the Death Star was the shiniest thing in fucking the original trilogy. But when they did the prequels, that's the only thing I noticed. Like, oh, they're flying a ship, and that ship looks like it just came off the production lot or it's the showroom floor. Like, it's chrome, but it's, you might as well paint it cherry red and put some pinstripes on it and shine a showroom light on it because it doesn't look like it landed on Tatooine.
Okay.
It doesn't even look like it landed on Tatooine when it landed on Tatooine. So, like, I don't know. You're using your deflector shields to keep little pebbles from making scratches in your ship? That's a little retarded.
I don't think that ship was designed to go on Tatooine.
But, yeah, but it still didn't come off on these scrapes or dings or whatever. But
well, they went through a car wash on the way out.
Yeah, I don't know. The car washes I go through don't buff out scratches and whatever.
Well, this is a long time ago with way better technology.
Yeah, apparently. Apparently way better technology. Except for when it comes to phone calls or, emails or, because
you have holograms.
You have to transfer data by robot. You can't just send it out. You can't just email it to a whole bunch of people and encrypted, Nope.
Yeah, that is what. See, that was one of those things where, like,
well, I accept that flaw. Don't get me wrong, I accept that flaw. But like I'm saying, that was the first thing that turned me off about it. That's all. I mean, the first thing that turned me off about the prequels was nothing. Everything looked like super clean, and I was like, these are the older things, Now, looking back on it, like I said, it makes more sense now because now looking back on it, I can go, well, that was the time when they weren't at war, and war leaves everything gritty and whatever, and you've got ruins piled all over the place and all that. But as a kid, I was like, well, young man, I was like, why is everything clean and not scratched and whatever?
Yeah.
Even when they showed Coruscant, in the second one, nothing. Shit, they were even building stuff from scratch on Tatooine that was shiny. And I'm not just talking about C-3PO. Well, that's pretty much it. Allison, are you even still here? Did you just show and then escape? And you were like, I'm glad that you. Like, really secretly, I just wanted to make you come here and do this.
I think it
So
looks
the
pretty
possible
darn good.
giveaway might be sold.
That's good.
This might be a sold piece. And I might be doing a Conan piece on top of it. I won't know for sure for a couple of days probably. So we are probably not going to stream on Saturday for anyone that's watching and anyone that cares, because we stream tonight in Allison's honor, and we both really have stuff to do, and Brett's recovering, trying to recover from an illness, and I'm trying to avoid catching that illness. That's why I'm standoffish. I wouldn't want to catch the cyber invade.
Yeah. Anyway.
So yeah, like I think we're probably getting close to the end. I don't think there's anything more to draw on that.
Right.
I think the dynamics of the picture went way beyond what I was planning to do in the first place. My original intent was just to noodle around and do a turtle without a face mask, which I did. A turtle without a face mask. Let's see if I can do this without knocking water all over the place.
He's incognito, but we'll never know which one it is.
Right. Well, honestly, it was black and white. How would you know anyway? If it was the original Turtles. Oh, I see. I should have put a weapon with him somewhere, right?
No, that's why he's incognito. I think the last movies, I don't think they were really identical. Maybe I'm crazy, because I never really watched them. I only saw trailers and thought, okay, good. But anyway, I don't think it's not a good sign when you have to rely upon a mask to identify who's who. So.
Right, except for
Yeah, I know.
So I'm going to give you some food for thought on that, actually.
Okay.
Give me just a second. Look out my drink. All right, so it was more like 4 seconds. Why did Slipknot use masks? Originally, what was the theory behind Slipknot using masks?
No
you know?
idea. I have
No.
no idea.
Here's the interesting thing, and it is the legitimate excuse for the Ninja Turtles wearing masks.
Okay.
Because if someone quit the band or was kicked out of the band, they could just replace them, and they would have the mask to stay there.
Okay. I mean, that's
So they could get another person wearing that same mask, and unless it was someone that spoke very often, which probably isn't, or it was vastly different in height, size, and build, which they also all originally wore gas station jumpsuits.
Yeah.
So it hit a lot of that. So the idea, and remember they went by a number originally, the idea was that if they needed to replace somebody or somebody wanted to quit the band or whatever, they could replace them without too much concern. So that is kind of a legitimate excuse if there's a bunch of turtles running around in the sewers, maybe there are. I think there's one more at least, but maybe there are other turtles that are running around in the sewers that are really wanting to train and be Ninja Turtles. Whatever.
All right.
We've come up with a few conspiracy theories. This is the newest one. It's the most feasible. Or are you attached to the blanket theory?
I'm attached to it's a gimmick, and whatever.
All of them are gimmicks.
I know.
There's nothing that we haven't mentioned that's a gimmick. Kiss is a gimmick.
I know.
It's not a gimmick.
Even,
Blar's a gimmick.
Anyway.
So weird to get this in the center. I'm literally going off to the right. And then I gotta put my ruler off there because. Alright, happy birthday, Alison, one last time. I hope you enjoyed the night. Maybe that you just wanted to stop in and have us acknowledge and say hey, so that you could run away and leave us here. But either way, have a great night. Thanks, Jay, for stopping in and talking. Thank you for anyone that stopped, hung out, watched, hit like, subscribe, follow, any of that stuff. Good night. God bless. Much love.
Peace.